Hi everybody, welcome to Stampers Club. Karen Tralfa here. I'm so happy that you've decided to stop by and join me today, and I have some very youthful cards for you. We're going to do a little bit of enjoying the rhythm. Doesn't that sound interesting? A little bit different. All of you young, anybody with young kids, they're just going to absolutely love this one. Let me show you. So here, all you lovely musicians out there, or kids, anybody that's got teenagers that are musicians, this is a perfect way to help celebrate them. So I have 3 cards here that we're going to be doing today. I'm going to be showing you, and I don't know, they seem like they're pretty rocky to me. Let's get started. I'm going to be using the Enjoy the Rhythm stamp set. Now, come on, who doesn't love music, right? And can you just see the possibilities for this? Whether it be, your husband or son that was a drummer in their current or past life, this is a great set for anybody that's, loves music, right? Piano players, there's all kinds of fun stuff that you can do with this one. So let me show you. Let's get started with the first one. Okay. So I'm starting out with a Daffodil Delight card base. I lost my bone folder. Oh, there it is. And I'm just going to be folding that in half. Okay, I'm just trying to get it out of my way here. And then we're going to be doing some watercoloring. So this set of cards actually has a little bit of technique going on with it. All right, so let me get my stamp over here. So this you're going to want to do in StazOn because we're going to be watercoloring it. So you're going to want to make sure that you use StazOn ink for that. Okay, and I have just a scrap piece of watercolor paper, and then my focal point piece is also watercolor paper. So we're just going to get that one stamped there. And this one here, probably about like that. It's a little bit offset and a little bit raised because we're ultimately going to put both of those on there. Let me clean that StazOn off of there. That wasn't that. Yeah, get that cleaned off there. I don't want to be wearing StazOn ink. It'll last forever. It just does. All right, so we get a watercolor brush. These aqua painters are so nice. I love these because, there's water right in the barrel all the time. So they actually come in a set where there's 3 different brush types. There's this nice fine point one. There's one that's a little bit thicker, and then one that's actually like a brush, like it's probably a 1/2 inch wide. So you can do that nice watercolor streaking across paper. But I do like these. All right, so the first one we're going to color in Mint Macaron. Did you see how I did that? This was shut, and I just kind of gave this like a squeeze and then opened up the ink pad. That gave me a little bit of extra ink in the lid there. All right, so we're just gonna, we needed to use StazOn ink because the ink will, the black ink, if you use Memento, the black ink will just mush with your colored ink. It's not resistant to water. The StazOn is resistant to water, so it doesn't bleed. And we're just going to give this a nice, I'm using that fine tip one because I want to be able to get around these edges a little bit darker. And of course, you know how watercolor is. If you let it dry a little bit, it will end up being where you can just add some additional color. If you want it a little bit darker, you just give it, I'm going to give this side a little bit of shading. Get that corner down there a little bit. And again, I'm just using some Mint Macaron on some watercolor paper. Super easy. And then the brush just cleans out. You don't have to have the little dippy cup and then have it all over your paper. We don't want to have a mess on our table. So this keeps it really self-contained. The older style ink pads, if you have those, if you pop the lid a little bit and then squeeze, these are a little deeper, a little thicker, so they take a little more effort. So that's why I popped the lid first. And then, again, we have this nice palette And this one is in Daffodil. I'm just gonna I need a little more water. And the color just spreads nicely on this fluid paper. I really like to watercolor. Get this a little bit darker up here. And of course, if you ever think you have too much water on it, you can always dry some off. And look, it comes right back off. So if you think you have too much water and you're not getting a dark enough, you can always dab the water off a little bit too. I'm just gonna kind of darken these edges up. I want my guitar a little bit outlined with a little bit darker color than that center. Let's soften this up. And then if you add a little water to it, you can bring that color. And to add water, you just give it a little squish, and the water comes out the end a little bit more. Ooh, that one's a little too wet. Squeezed a little too hard. But the water will when you add a little bit more water, the ink will just start to run into the area that you want to push it into. That was a little wet, so I'm going to get a little more coming into here. I don't know if you can, I'm sure you can't see it on the screen, but it almost kind of walks across the paper. Get my handle just a little bit darker. There we go. I'm happy with that. I move it back on there. Set that aside. Whoa. Put that aside. Now, this step does not have any kind of a die cut, so we're going to use these very special die cut. They're this nice long silver pointy thing with these two little black handles. This is our manual die cut. And we're just going to cut this out. It's been so long that we've had dies and die cutting machines out, it's been what, 10, 15 years at least. But, when I first started stamping, all that fancy stuff wasn't out. It hadn't been designed yet. I'm telling my age here, aren't I? Kind of like when we tell our kids, we didn't have cell phones, and we had a cord that the telephone was on the wall attached to a cord, and you could only get as far away as the cord would reach. And then, I was probably might have been in junior high, maybe, middle school, and cordless phones came out, for a landline. And now, most people don't even have landlines anymore. It's amazing. Technology is amazing. One of my, I don't know if anybody knows, a lot of people know me. I also have a construction company, and one of my granddaughters works at the construction company with me. And when she had started, I said, remember those Rolodexes? I wonder if we got one around. She had no idea what a Rolodex was, but I can't say as I blame her because she's young. She wouldn't have known. All right, so let's get started putting this together. I do have to stamp one more thing here. Okay, so we're going to have this black on our card base, but our next designer paper, this is the, I forgot the name of it. Country something gingham. Don't you like that? I can't remember the name of it. It's been, we've only been playing with it for a while now, and I can't remember. All right, so then I'm going to get some Memento Black, and I'm going to use that nice little music bar instrument, or stamp. And I'm going to just get some little element in the back here. I'm going to just do one a little bit up there. I know it's kind of scary, isn't it, to stamp right on your designer paper? But, if you mess up, there's more. It comes in a huge pack. There's going to be another piece, right? It doesn't even have to be identical. They all work. They're beautiful papers. All right, we're going to get that on this black matting. And that I'm going to add to my daffodil card base. I'm using very narrow margins here, so these are like eighth inch borders instead of the traditional 1/4 inch. I just wanted more color showing, all right? And then to map this up, this goes on to the daffodil piece. Of course, you can get all of the measurements from my blog. I have little PDF tutorials that you can go get over on my website at www.stampersclub.com. And probably if you just search for Enjoy the Rhythm, you'll probably find the right post for that. All right, and then you'll be able to get the PDF with all of the instructions for you to recreate these beautiful cards. They're just super fun. They're so youthful. Oops, too many dimensionals. Didn't need that many. All right, so this we're going to layer up right in the middle. Starting to come together, but you know, we're a little bit lopsided here, aren't we? Well, that's where this extra little guitar comes in. We get some mini dimensionals here on this one. I just want one mini there. Oh, stuck to my finger. And we'll get a good size one down here. Okay, we're going to put that, we're going to kind of overlap it. Oh, yeah, probably about like that. Getting closer, getting closer. I'm going to take this scrap piece of mint macaron and some black ink and the verse that says, "You rock my world." This would be a fun statement. I mean, it's great. It's a fun greeting no matter. Ooh, I got a little bit of an outline there. Let me try that again. Perfect. This would be fun though if you had, you know, like if your husband or boyfriend was a guitar player. That would be a great little verse for that. But of course, it's fun no matter who receives it. So this, we're just going to cut apart manually. Some more of these little manual die cuts. I'm just going to cut those apart. Ooh, I don't want to cut the word off. I'm going to get close, but I don't want to cut it off. All right, and then I'm going to get my smaller scissors here and trim that up just a little bit. I think there's a little crooked there. Not that it matters, it's handmade, right? It's supposed to be not perfect. Because none of us are. At least last time I checked, we weren't. I almost lost my Y there. Cut that a little bit close. All right. Get that. Then we've got to get some dimensionals. Now, these are really narrow. I mean, obviously, you know, like this one, I can get a full dimensional on. Actually get two of them on there. And this one I might be able to. Yep, I can get it on that one too. But when the things are really narrow, you know, your pop dots, dimensionals, whatever you guys want to call these things, when they stick to your finger. But the nice part is there's lots and lots of extra edging. So a lot of times I just trim that edge and then I can get the piece that I need that's a little bit thinner. Oh, I didn't need it that long. I probably need it only half that. And then you can get these little thin pieces like that. There's enough left on this one to do this one. But these don't go to waste. Don't let those edges go to waste. Use them up, ladies. Use them up. All right, so which one of these is the, I'm going to start with the one. I'm going to work from the bottom and go up. All right, so I'm going to put the one that says world right here. And then I need the one that says my. And we're going to put that right here. And then the word that says rock. I don't know, this weird song just popped into my head, that rock on. Forgot the name of it, but it was like that verse that just went, walk on. And right there, you rock my world, looking good, looking good, but not quite finished. I grabbed some stars, little die cut stars, and I want to add a little more, a little bling, because you know, rock bands are blingy, aren't they? So let's add some shiny bling. This is from that soft, subtly shimmery paper. It's nice and thin, so it works. You know, it's like, it's really easy to use. Okay, and put that dimensional on the bottom of that one. And let's see, I'm just going to kind of overlap that one a little bit. Go like that. Just overlap that a little bit. And then this one here, let me get some liquid glue. I'm going to add a little bit of glue right there. So when I'm adding something small to my project, let me take my pick tool if I can find it. That may have grown some legs and ran away. I was just using it this morning. Oh well, this will work. The tweezers will work. When these pieces are so small and you want to add adhesive and glue them on, I usually put a liquid adhesive on where I want it to go, and then I'm not dealing with this gluey mess over here. And then I just stick that down to where I want it and set it right on top of that little glue dot. All right, so there, we got some more bling. It's got some nice shine to it. This shimmery paper is just really blingy. But I think we need just a little more, right? These are opaque adhesive back gems, and they're just such fun colors that I'm like, you know what? I like these. This is going to give it a little bit more texture. And we're just going to add a couple of these. If I had take my pick tool, I'd be able to get that done. But scissors work too. I'm going to put one there. This just gives it a little more like sparkle and fancy and a little fun, or like little confettis, right? There we go. I like that much better. Like, you rock my world. Love it, love it. So this color, I chose these colors on this one. One of my grandsons plays the guitar, but I have, some other friends, their daughters play guitar. So I kind of did this in a color combination that worked either way, whether it be boy or girl. Okay, so there's the first one. Okay, and then the next one, clean up some of my debris here. It's like the kitchen. If you don't clean up as you go, it just seems to get a little overwhelming, right? Oh, you know what we need to do? I forgot. We gotta add some guitars to the envelope. Let's decorate this envelope up. Let's get a little music on the guitar, on the envelope. And let's just grab a guitar going on in there too. Gotta decorate the envelope. Can't have a naked one, can we? Perfect. Love it. All right, card number 2. This one is, again, every one of these cards has a little bit of a technique to it. So this is kind of a multi-technique little video here. So this is gorgeous gray cardstock. Not a color I use a lot, and I'm a purple person, so that's really surprising. But I don't know if it's just like didn't have other things that quite matched it in the past or not. But so we're gonna get that set aside. Well, we'll work the other way this time. You can work from a card. You can build your card. If you're copying something, you can build it from the front down or the back up, or mix and match it and set your elements aside. You can work in whatever manner things look the way they should to you. Everybody's brain works a little bit differently. All right, so again, now this is petal pink in the gingham paper that I put just on some basic white and mat that up on my card here. And the pink and the purple is just a good color combination. And then I'm going to add another matting of Gorgeous Grape right in the middle. Yeah, that looks like the middle to me. This piece looks like it's crooked. All right, and then I have already pre-embossed a piece of petal pink paper with the Music 3D embossing folder. So it has all these little musical elements on there. I love that folder. It works great for like Christmas cards. That's where I see it most often used. But when I saw this stamp set, I thought, well, you have to partner that with that embossing folder. And I'm just going to put that in the middle of that. And get some dimensionals up there. And like I said, I'll have some tutorials available on my website, www.stampersclub.com. So you can always pop over there if you need the dimensions and the supplies, list of supplies that I used on here. You can always find stuff over on my website. It's always good. Okay, so this piece I think I'm going to build as an element. I can get this part done. This is just a stitched circle on top of a scalloped circle. But this is the part that we're going to stamp. So again, I'm going to need StazOn because it's vellum. So this is a stitched circle vellum, and it is the exact same size as the one below it. The white I needed the white back there to reveal what we're doing on the front. So I'm going to use the piano keyboard. I guess it could be just a keyboard or an organ keyboard. Also, it doesn't have to be piano, but a keyboard, not a typewriting keyboard, a music keyboard. And I'm just going to stamp that right on this vellum. Now I'm using StazOn because just about any of the other inks will just smear. This will get on there and dry, and it'll be there forever. All right, now I'm going to grab my black Stampin' Blends, and I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to use the narrow tip so I have a little more control. And I'm going to color the keys from the back side of my stamped image. And we're just going to have some magic back here, because we have black and white keys, right? So I'm just going to color those from the back side. Now I'm using, again, the blends because the alcohol ink will stay on the vellum, where if you were using a water-based ink, it probably would just smear right off. And these blends work on pretty much every surface where it will actually stay, because these are an alcohol marker. These come in a 2-pack. There is a light and a dark version of each color, so you have plenty of blending option. I'm just not blending here, I'm just coloring because I needed that alcohol marker. But I can show you some blending on the next card. Oh, maybe not. Actually, it's too small. Sometimes I just like using these markers because they're just so that the ink just flows out of them really nicely. Get my edges. And these are getting a little skinny back here where that's why this fine tip end helps. And let me check to see. Did I get it all? Ooh, I did. I could go over these again and just kind of get this color a little darker on these. Perfect. Looks messy from the back side, but from the front side, it actually looks really nice. Okay, now here's the magic of why I put white paper, because if I put that on there, yes, you can see the keyboard, right? But when I put that over the top of white, look at how much those white keys and black keys pop. All right, to get this on here, I'm just going to use just a little bit of snail adhesive over the top of the black keys. That's plenty. This stuff's pretty strong, so it's plenty to get that down. And then I'm just going to layer that up right over the top. But that's plenty to hold that down. All right, and then get a couple dimensionals on the back of this. I guess 3, since that's what I peeled off. And we're going to pop that up over right about there. Okay. Now, again, another technique, we're going to do a little bit of heat embossing. So, have you ever done any heat embossing? I like embossing of all kinds. It doesn't matter whether it's heat or dry. The dry embossing is with the embossing folders, and then the heat embossing is with obviously heat and this powdered this powder that melts, this embossing powder. I'm going to use my embossing buddy just to get this on here because I'm using words and I don't want them to kind of, this gets rid of the static cling. And my stamp set, this one of course says Trouble Maker. Now, how many teenagers do we know that have that are just a little bit of the trouble? That's not the straightest, but it'll do. So this is Versamark ink, and what that does, and it's clear, but it makes it so that it gives something for the embossing powder to actually stick to. And then I just give it a little bit of a flick. I think my stamp was actually curved on the block. It's all good. The teenager's not going to know the difference. Right? They're not that that worried about stuff. Okay, and then you use a heat gun and melt it. It's going to get a little loud. Sometimes I try to warm the back of the paper a little bit first, and then it's just like magic. So this is kind of like, oh, you can't really tell. It's kind of like dry looking, and then as that powder melts, it gets shiny. You know how you get those pretty wedding invitations in the mail, and they have that shiny ink on it? It looks like it's raised off the paper. That's what this is doing. It actually melts that powder, and look how much darker it got and shiny. And it's actually raised off the paper. So it's embossed onto the paper, not into the paper. So we're just going to get some little tail. Let's do little banner tails here. Again, pretty manual. And then the back side. Oops. Perfect. Oh, that one's a little longer than it should be. Trim that off. All right, and then I'm going to get some mini dimensionals. Ooh, I'm getting low on my sheet. The side where where it says, you know, the T is, I'm going to put 1 dimensional. And then the other end, I'm going to double stack my dimensional, like that. And I'm double stacking it because I got embossing paste all over, or powder. This is on dimensionals, and I'm gonna add a dimensional. So this other side is at a layer, gonna attach to the layer below, so it's gonna need to be double stacked in order to get that to stick properly. And actually I need to move it over a little bit, through the middle. And we're just going to put that right about there and get our greeting. It would help if I took the backing off. The things that we do when we're crafting. And right about there. I think it's straight. I have astigmatism in my eyes, so sometimes straight isn't really straight, but you get the gist. And then, of course, you know me, gotta have ribbon. I didn't on that first card. Go figure. And then this, I'm having two pieces of the in color, I think this is the Orchid in color ribbon. Might be the Starry Sky, but I think it's the Orchid Oasis in color glimmer ribbon. And I'm going to make a bow. Hold the center, pull those tails, hold the center, pull those tails. I'm going to grab this between my pinky and then pull those tails. That helps keep the ribbon straight and stops it from curling. And then you can kind of play with it and go back and forth depending on, how big you want your ribbon to be. I think I kind of like that. Get that a little taut again. There we go. And a glue dot. Just get a glue dot here. And I'm going to put that right there. Right? Just give it a little bit of a double, it's got like a double bow on it. Put my scissors here and trim my tails. And voila. Now, of course, I did this in purple and pink. Well, I have a granddaughter that plays the piano, so that's why I made this one a little bit more feminine. But of course, all you would have had to do was change up the colors, same layout, and this could totally be turned into a young teens card or older teens card. That all works, right? All right, so that's that one. And let's grab our envelope and let's get our ink. Yeah, I was using StazOn. Let's keep using StazOn. And let's add a piano key in the corner here. Perfect. Well, certainly now, look. Now I'm going to put the lid that's attached to an ink pad and try to get that on another ink pad. I don't think I will be successful. Pretty sure I won't be. All right, so that's that card. And last but not least, we have one more. Let me get rid of my garbage pile here. Again, just like the kitchen, clean up in aisle 5. All right, so this, apparently I didn't get them all in the garbage. I threw them in the other envelope. Duh. All right, so this one is Fresh Freezy. Now this is an in color that was scheduled to retire at the end of this month, actually May 1st of 2023. But fortunately, this is a color that they added back into the color refresh for the upcoming catalog. And this is just this to me is the purple of all purples. It's just so dainty, but purple's probably my favorite color, so we're going to go with that. All right, so this is, let's see, where am I at here? All right. So another piece of that gingham cardstock. And this is a petal pink on basic white. Put that in the center. Right. So here is some more of that shimmer paper that I was talking about, and it's a nice thin paper, so it cuts real well. Doesn't have any kind of a backing on it, so it's more like just paper, but it's a fine shimmer paper. It's just really nice. I used it on all 3 of the cards. Well, not all 3. I guess only 2 of the cards had it. The one with the stars, I used it for that too. So that was kind of nice. All right, so let's get some stamping done. So we have a drummer in the family. And again, we have to use Memento on this one because we're going to be using blends on the top of the top of the card, not the underneath on the vellum. So we have different inks for different applications. And let's get my drum set right there. Perfect. Beautiful. So when you have, like I said, when you have an alcohol marker or an alcohol pen or coloring, any coloring tool, you need to make sure that you use a ink that is not alcohol based. The StazOn is alcohol based, so it dries really fast. But if you use an alcohol marker with StazOn, they'll just mush together. And if you use, so if I was to use StazOn instead of the Memento, but we have watercoloring that needs to use Memento. It's kind of funny. No, it needs to use StazOn also because this will run. So we have different things. Water will make this run, but alcohol won't. I think you're getting the gist. You got to match them up. All right, so I'm just going to kind of color in the sides of my drum. I think I want to use the fine tip. These are small images, and I just want to get my drum bases colored in here. And you could use a marker. That would work too. It would be fine. I just like the softness of the alcohol marker. This is it doesn't leave the lines it's great when you're doing small pieces with a regular standard marker, but you would get, the overlapping depth of line in these larger areas where the blends kind of makes that kind of go away. I guess I colored the bottom of that and I shouldn't have. That's all right. Get this just colored in real quick here. A lot of times I work in circles with blends too. I feel like I have more control of my coloring. I'm not the best colorer. Apparently I didn't pay attention when I was in kindergarten. All right, we just wanted to add a little bit of color to that. So, got some purple, and this we're going to adhere onto this pretty shimmer paper. I forgot to put my gems on my other card. I did. We're going to have to come back and do that. All right, and then need some dimensionals. Because what card doesn't have dimensionals in my world? It's just such an easy way to just step up your card without actually having to do anything. I'm going to put this off to the side just a little bit. And then we need to have our greeting. And this one's just going to be a really basic happy birthday. Perfect. And if it's not, too bad, so sad. So I don't know if you've ever done this before with your punches where you've worked from the back side. So I'm going to be using this postage punch, okay? But clearly I'm not going to be cutting out a postage. But if you do where you come back in the sides, you can create some nice edge, maybe, right in that punch. Too small? Let's go back this way. Oh, there it goes. Okay. The paper, it's humid here today, so my paper's a little soggy. And you just go in, and then you can create these cute little edges off your labels, especially on these little small pieces. And then, of course, this is going to be the same thing that I did on the other one. Is I want to do a single layer dimensional on one side and a double layered dimensional on the other side. I wonder if the people that live in dry climates realize or have ever experienced soggy paper. When you live in the drier climate, you really don't probably have that problem. But we live in Michigan in the summer and in Florida in the winter, and both of them are very humid states with all the water that surrounds them both. All right, so ribbon. So this is some lovely organdy ribbon. which, by the way, if you've received your catalog, you have not, this looks like it may not be continuing, but it is moving to online access only. So, or online exclusive. So Stampin' Up! A few months back had introduced that they're going to be having things that are available online that are not shown in our catalog. So be sure when you check out the website that you look at those online exclusives, because there are some very stunning things out there that they have come up with. Gives them a little bit more variety, so we can have, you know, a larger selection of products, but not have to change our printed products other than once a year. And again, a bow, because you know me, I just think that the textile of the fabric, because you're adding fabric and paper together, that it creates a very eye-appealing, you know, kind of just changes the whole dynamics of the card to your eye without having to do a lot of work again, because you just, you know, just gives it a little bit more wow factor without a whole lot of effort. Because I'm pretty sure we all know how to make a bow. Entire tennis shoes, I think, unless you have Velcro. If not, keep watching my videos. You'll learn how. All right, the gems that I forgot to put on the last card. So we're going to do those. I'm going to use these pretty fresh freezy ones down here. Put one there, and I want to get some small ones. And a small one here. Actually, I'm going to put that one there. And then we have these really small ones. I'll put that one right there. Now let's get back to that one that we forgot to put them on and get them on there. I'm going to use the gorgeous grape ones there. Let's get one there. And a medium one. Put that there. And then one of these little teeny tiny ones. We'll add that to it too. Oh, yeah. Now, how did I forget that? I don't know. Should never have forgotten that one. All right. And then, of course, let's not leave our envelope naked. Now, this you could color if you wanted to, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to give them a nice little drum set here in the corner. Yeah. You could certainly color it if you wanted to. All right, so let's recap. We have our very cute little drummer. So, of course, I have another granddaughter who plays the drums. She's actually quite good at it. She was in a music studio that had their actual own little band. Her and her brother, he was the drummer, and he was the guitar player, and she was the drummer. And then their younger sister is learning how to play the piano. But her birthday is actually in like 2 or 3 days. So this card's for her. And then my other one that's going to be the pianist, her birthday is in July. So she'll be getting that card. And then in September is my grandson's birthday. So he'll be getting that card. So obviously I kind of designed these for my kids. But you can certainly just change up the colors and be able to share those with your family. Okay, let me switch over here. Hey, so I'm back. So I want to thank you so much for coming by and visiting with me today and stamping with me today. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to pop over to my Facebook page, Stampers Club, or email me or pop on my website if you have questions about the sizing and whatnot, because you can find it there. I would appreciate if you would click that little bell there so that if next time you would get notified that I'm out here crafting, because there's always new stuff coming out. And if you want to come to my retreats, I do 2 very large retreats a year. You can also find that information on my website. But I want to let you know that I appreciate each and every one of you for stopping by, and have a stamp happy day. Bye now.